Good morning, sir.
How are you? Trying to get going here.
Doing pretty well.
Well, come on, video. I'm sure I was going to make it today. I had to go run early, and I'm speaking at Kiwanis today, which is going to be fun.
Speaking where?
At Kiwanis for Keith.
Oh, nice. Good.
I'm talking about the excellence option. That's the name of it.
There you go.
And about how you'd rather be the mint on the pillow than the roach in the kitchen. It should be. Sorry, I've been regular with this.
One thing I would recommend, there's a guy that records the video. Make sure that he has the microphone plugged in and turned on.
I tend to walk around a lot, so that may be a problem. But how many people do they have there usually? Do you know?
About 30.
Okay.
Yeah, 30, 35. When I spoke last week, or the week before, the guy didn't have his microphone going. Videoed me, no sound hardly at all.
Oh, man.
That's pretty bad. Morning, Al. How you feeling?
Morning. Oh, much better. Back among the living.
Good job.
Yeah,
I feel like I need to probably reintroduce myself. Sorry.
So everything's passed. You're feeling better now?
Yeah, no, we're good. It was neither me nor my fiance had that bad of a case. Like, it was still pretty mild for the most part. It was really just killer brain fog. I could not formulate a thought. So I was completely unproductive. Lost smell and taste, and just had a lot of fatigue. Had a very minor fever like once or twice, but that was about it.
Wow.
Really, it was for me, I've had way, way worse colds. So it was really just more of a massive inconvenience than anything. But, we're fortunate it wasn't any worse. But it did definitely slow me down for about a week.
Yeah, and I've heard people that they say that, some people say it's just like a bad cold, and other people say they feel like they got hit by a truck.
Yeah. Well, and I still say there's different strains of it because, I've talked to several people that had a very similar experience to me. And then, people like my aunt, she spent like a month in the hospital with it. So just go figure.
I'm glad you're through it. Glad it wasn't that bad. That's good.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back at it. And I'm definitely back in the game. I'm ready to get after it this week for sure.
Good job. Good job. All right. We'll give Jack another minute, see if he can come on. I have not gotten an email or text or anything from Jack or Greg, so I'm assuming they're going to be with us. Last week it was just me and Jack.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Everybody had something going on.
Hey, while we're waiting, quick question, David, for you. I know that we've worked through Fix This Next, and we've talked a lot about Mike McAllitz's books. How familiar are you with Profit First?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I'm not an expert. I've read it, and I have some clients that are following it, so I'm familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking around for an accountant and a bookkeeper that is familiar with the system and believes in it, because I've read the book and I'd like to follow it, but I made a resolution several months ago. I want to stop trying to do my own accounting. So
we can chat, because I would qualify on both those counts, so we can chat anytime you want to.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds great. Yeah, we should talk about that.
All right.
I was going to say, I know David's looked at it. Mary Bozio and started taking some training classes. She was actually going to get certified in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good. Profit First is definitely a way to go. Definitely a way to go.
Yeah, good system.
Yeah. I read it, and I haven't gotten started on applying it yet, but I just instantly made the decision, like, this is the way to go.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Mary and I have talked more than once about doing some things in tandem. So they don't get any better from the bookkeeping side probably than her and her firm.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and we're a good team fit. I mean, I have someone on staff that does bookkeeping, but not at the volume level that she does. So that's another option too, either or.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be absolutely fantastic. Because that's something I very much need to get off of my plate. One, because I am terrible at it, and two, I really dislike it. There's other stuff I need to focus on. I'd rather trust a professional.
There you go. All right. Morning, Greg.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty miserable. I think like I listened to last week's call, like Alex, I tested positive yesterday.
Oh man.
So yeah,
Man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. I'm totally over it. I was telling them, I hope your case is a lot like mine because really, as bad as it got for me, was just like really bad brain fog and loss of smell and taste, and just really tired. Just really stole my energy. Couldn't do anything, but that's about as bad as it got. So I'm hoping that your case is no worse than that.
Yeah, that's been all I did pretty much on Saturday and Sunday. I went and had another meeting with this prospective buyer in East Point on Saturday. I met with him and pretty much slept the rest of the day, Saturday afternoon, all day Sunday. And, I got some nausea, definitely brain fog. I got the cold chills where it feels like it's going to be ready for an onset of a fever that just doesn't happen. When I went and got tested yesterday, my fever I didn't have a fever. I was normal temperature, but body feels pretty wrecked.
Yeah, that was me. I had a tiny fever, like a handful of times, like maybe once a day I'd pop a fever. But I'm with you. It felt like I had it the rest of the time, just freezing to death all the time.
Wow. How long did your symptoms persist, sir?
It was almost exactly it was about a week.
About a week.
Yeah.
Yep, that's kind of what I'm anticipating.
Yeah, because let's see, my fiance tested positive on a Sunday, and I still felt fine. And then I was on this call that Tuesday morning. By that afternoon, I was already starting to lose smell and taste. And then that's when it really started. And I guess about a week to 10 days.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Because it was middle of this past week that I was like, okay, I'm back to 100%. I feel great. I'm actually normal.
All right. Nice. Good for you.
Or normal as I'm going to get.
Normal as you get.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Jack. How about you? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I stay in a 57-year-old brain fog, so
No worries. Good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and roll. Any successes anybody wants to share this week, aside from coming back to the living? What else you got going on?
Well, actually, I have one. So I have officially started taking action on rebuilding StarCraft. It's now stuff's happening. I've gotten the ball rolling this past weekend. So over the course of the past week, I contacted my video guy, got a scope of work going for what we would need to redo/finish up the projects that were in the works when my partner and I split up. And this past weekend, we actually got together and filmed for a couple hours and finished up all the footage that was needed for those 2 online course offerings. So those are now ready to put out there and be distributed to the platform that I agreed to partner with to give them to. So I've now got something I can actually put out there and sell. So that was a big win for me. That was a good start getting the ball rolling.
Good job. Good job. And how was that getting back into the filming?
It was actually really good. I think I remembered a lot more than I expected to. I think I may be actually better at this than I give myself credit for. It all came very naturally. So, I'm probably not as far off in my skill set to teach this as I thought I might have been. So, uh, yeah, it was very encouraging. And it was good to actually make forward progress too. So it was uh, honestly probably a bigger like mental and emotional win than anything.
Nice.
Because now it's
Those
got me
help though.
thinking about
Yeah.
next steps.
Yep. Good job. What were these videos on? What were you?
So one of them, it was a wild edible plants instructional video that I did this past summer, specifically talking about a plant called broadleaf plantain. So talking about all the different edible and medicinal uses of it. And then the other one was about, you seen those like tactical scarves that guys wear? They're called shamogs.
Yeah.
Uh, they're kind of like the check pattern. So there's like 100 different things you can do with those. They're one of the most useful things you can carry with you in the woods. They're very valuable. The video went through about, I don't know, a dozen different uses of that.
Very
So,
cool.
because I don't know of anybody else that's put one out there on it, and they're really, really good. Tons of people carry them, but I don't think they know really how to use them. So
Yeah, it's a neck scarf or head scarf, and that's it. That's all.
right, yeah, no, but you can do all kinds of stuff with them. Like you can like sling a broken arm. You can use them to splint with, use them as bandages, filter your water with them, like all kinds of stuff. So yeah, no, it was a weekend well spent, and now it's really got me thinking about next steps, and honestly got me really fired up. It was good, and now that I'm feeling good, I can get back into hitting this week hard, and catching up on a lot of everything I wasn't able to do when I was sick. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's a good place to be.
Cool. No, it sounds good. That's awesome. David, what about you? Catch us up on what's been happening.
I started an official arrangement yesterday, actually, with what's now my biggest monthly client. I may have mentioned that this was in the works. I don't remember. It's a pretty big one. It's actually it's a big church over in McDonough who's basically outsourcing all their admin work, all the financial stuff that they do to us. I'll be on site there now and then, but that was good. And man, the other thing, my new hire, the client care lady that's working with me now. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Zoho. I hadn't, but I think a really good CMS software.
Okay.
That we have been busy populating. Thankfully, it has a leads section because partly because of how I've been telling you guys how the website and referrals have really been generating calls. Also because of the time of the year that it is. I literally get a call or two, just like I had two yesterday, almost every day. So now I'm trying to pedal now to keep up with, we can, a lot of these new folks, we can meet on Zoom or talk on the phone. So that's, waves like this don't last forever. And it's always up and down, but this is a pretty good wave right now. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It makes me miss meetings, and I'm sorry, guys.
No problem. Jack, what about anything going on?
We set our container on Thursday and started moving material into it on Friday. So we're making progress on that. And other than that, just moving along, working on the website, other things.
Yeah. How's that coming?
It's, it's funny, the day I mentioned something about it, they sent it to me. So it's live. I mean, it's not live. It's, I went through, I guess it was Friday. I went through every single page on it and I found something minor on every page. And I've sent him back a punch list, I guess you'd call it, of what needs to be done on each page. So hopefully that'll happen sooner rather than later. And then after you and I talked the other day, Harlan, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with the 833 Go Rapid. So they are actually working on a manipulating my logo to be 833GoRapid.com. So
okay.
we'll see how that turns out. I don't,
Yeah.
if it doesn't pan out, then I'm gonna have to look elsewhere.
Okay. Were you able to connect with Jason?
Jason, I'm sorry,
Jason
I'm
Bass?
drawing a blank.
When you'd asked for a new logo.
I did not call him because, like I say, once they contacted me and I said, that I think I might do that, they said, well, let us. I kind of took it that they were just going to manipulate mine. It may not cost much, or, so I did not contact him.
Okay. All right. Greg, what about you? How did that meeting with the buyer go?
The meeting that we had early in the week last Tuesday went really well. He sounded like a motivated buyer, and he was talking like he was kind of already taking ownership of the business. And he walked away with a pretty good idea of what I was looking for. And the nice part about it was, this is something that I've wrestled with. Do I sell this business? We had a really good year. We've had a really good couple of years, and it continues to grow. And I talked with a number of guys young guys that have been in the business and found some success, older guys that are retired, some of the corporate staff at AMCO, just trying to wrap my head around, am I making the right decision? And if I do decide to sell the business. And I got to a point where early on, it happened, like for the last month, it's been flipping back and forth every day, because I've had a buyer. There was somebody that came to me a while back that didn't really materialize. And so I told myself, you know what, I'm not going to move forward with this. I'm just going to hold on to it. Things are well. Why am I going to rock the boat? And at some point last week, I decided, you know what, I'm young. I can do it again. I can take this time, put that money in the bank, concentrate on Noonan, get it to where it's doing similar type numbers East Point is. I'm going to go ahead and if this guy makes the right offer, I'll sell it. So he shows up. I met with him on Saturday morning at the shop, and he came in with a little bit of a lowball offer. I thought I was looking for. I'll just share the numbers. I was looking for something up. The number was 450. I was going to go with 425. He came in and offered me 375, and I just told him that's not even close. I wouldn't consider it for anything less than 400. I told him I'd even go down to 400, but he'd have to keep me on staff for a year of payroll at $500 a week. And he said, well, how much time are you going to spend there? And I said, absolutely zero. I'll offer you some advice, help you out on the phone, do that sort of thing. But that's where it's at. If we're going to try to make this work. So he ended up, he left. We didn't make a deal, and then I did get a text message from the franchise sales rep yesterday saying that he's already trying to get in touch with him. So I don't know if it's dead, it's dead. That's fine. We'll just continue his game plan, and if it's he decides to come back to the table, we'll see what happens.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I hope something moves along. But like you said, it's not an imperative. If it works, it works. And if it's not the numbers you want, that's not the decision you want to make, right? So
that's how I feel. Yeah. And the good, both shops had great starts to the new year, so I'm really happy with that.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right, so that was kind of the actions, accountabilities. Like I said, last week it was just me and Jack. Jack had a couple actions, setting up that container and moving some materials and stuff out there. Jack, did you guys get the roof put on too for that?
No, we're gonna have that roof's gonna have to be adjusted. But he's the guy was here that just putting the roof on, and so that'll move forward this week. I know he had a couple of jobs to do at the beginning of this week, and now it looks like it might rain at the end of the week. So I don't know how much will get done this week, but we're moving forward with it.
Good.
That won't stop me from moving my stuff in it at this point, though.
Yeah.
That's going to be just additional parking space once it's done.
Okay. Cool. And then that'll clean up that area that you wanted to use for other offices, right?
Yeah, that's right. That'll give me that area for my offices. And I've already talked to a contractor about building that office. But I've held him off from really, I talked to him in probably March last year.
Yeah.
And just held him off, but we're moving forward.
Good. Good stuff. All right. Anybody up for the hot seat? Any topic you want to take to the group? Any questions you want to ask of the group? Nobody in the hot seat?
I would be willing to discuss the options or gather some thoughts if you guys have any on, pulling the trigger. Because what it's done is, if we were kind of in this limbo on this deal, is put everything else that I want to do on hold. As far as plans for the business itself, it's going to change the optics on what the outside sales guy is going to look like. Because if I only got one shop, I have to figure out, is that going to be a part-time guy or do I bring him in full-time?
Yeah.
And use him as assistant manager. Business really doesn't need that unless he goes on to some type of more of a commission basis. And I'd still be interested to talk to Jack about what that might look like. And the other thing it kind of put a hold on is, and you mentioned it, everything I was thinking, Harlan, if I'm down to one shop, how much do I want to bring on this get this tow business started? Because I wasn't planning on really towing for the Noonan location. That was just going to be the East Point location and keep the truck rolling around up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But those are kind of all that's just kind of on ice until figure out if this guy's going to make the offer or not. And the reason I wanted to sit in the hot seat, 2 weeks ago, was because I knew this was kind of coming down, and to help me with that decision on,
Yeah.
do I think I'm doing the right thing? When it gets to a point where I think I've decided I do want to, some of that brain fog setting in.
Well, the question about, pulling the trigger on this, what your number has to be, right? If this is not something that you have to make the sale, you have to do it. If the numbers work out right, then it does, right?
Yeah.
So I always look at, what benefit does this bring to you if you actually do make this sale? What does that allow you then to do?
It certainly puts a little nest egg in the bank and frees up some monies for other things I want to do with either another business or put a little bit more money into the Noonan business. It's certainly going to free up a lot of time. That's the biggest thing right now. Yeah. That's almost is more than the money, because East Point, while I don't know. I'd have to figure out. It's probably, to give you my best guesstimate is probably 63% of my income. It's probably 80% to 85% of my time.
Yeah.
Noonan is kind of runs itself for the most part, or it can. It could do better if I was able to devote more time to it. And I wouldn't even consider selling the East Point shop if I didn't have Noonan. I would never eliminate both sources of income. But since Noonan is doing as well as it is, then it starts to make a little bit more sense. And so, it's nice having that money set aside in case another opportunity like a Tallahassee or something would come available. Could maybe get more aggressive when the time comes if I wanted to do that. But it would free up just a ton of time for me to look at other investments, another business, and devote more time to the Noonan location.
All right. Open to the group then. What do you guys think about the tow business? again, I think it's a nice adjacent, type service to help out. But like I said, if you get rid of the East Point location, is that still a side business you want to get into?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that there's a lot of guys out there making some money with it. I don't know how much, I don't know how profitability or how profitable it would be, how much to take that on and put the investment in a truck, which would just be financing. Jack, I still have not been over to see that land. It's been on my to-do list now for 3 weeks, and I live probably 10 minutes from it, and I haven't been by there. So I don't know what that tells me. So I don't know how much sense it makes to do if I end up coming to a deal with this East Point thing.
Yeah. Because would you use that down in the Noonan shop at all?
Only on like long distant tows or anything that starts up on the north side of town that needs to come down. I got a pretty good deal with Coweta Wrecker. It's like, 45 bucks for anything in Coweta County. And so it wouldn't make sense to pull the truck off if he's up there cruising around somewhere in Atlanta, picking up cars or doing whatever, looking for junk cars to buy, whatever it's going to be. It wouldn't make sense to bring them all the way down 45 bucks. And I don't want to take away from, I don't want to say, okay, now that it's my tow business, we're going to charge $60. If it was only my business, I could see where that would make sense. But since I'm in it with a partner, I don't want to pay more and split that money 2 ways.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to stay on, the tow business is probably going to stay on hold. I've kept it kind of at bay this long until, I should have some clarity I would think pretty quick on to see if this guy's going to make a counter offer or if he's just going to decide to go a different direction or not make a move at all.
Right. David, Alex, Jack, any of you guys have any questions or comments?
Well, I mean, my personal advice is I would wait until after you get over COVID to make any big decisions if you can, because I can tell you my mental faculties were not the strongest when I had it. So you may get a lot of clarity just when you get not sick. But the only thing that I can think to offer is that, focus is your friend, because I think the towing business is a great idea if you keep that location. And obviously, I'm in favor of you starting it because we talked about me doing some work for you, but there's a lot to be said for not spreading yourself over too many different things. Like, are you going to run a towing business or are you going to run an AMCO shop? Like, when it complements each other really well, it makes a lot of sense. But if you don't have that, if you're not going to be using it regularly, it may not be the best use of your, not necessarily your time, but like your focus and your bandwidth. So I kind of tend to agree with your intuition there that those two things kind of go hand in hand. Like, if you keep the location, the towing business still makes a lot of sense. I think it would complement that very nicely. If you don't, you may want to look at something else. That's all I would have to say. But yeah, I'd also say wait till you get better until you make any major financial decisions.
Good advice.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even remember like how to fix breakfast. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
No worries. All right. Greg, anything else?
No, that's kind of it. I just wanted to follow up with,
Sure.
getting that a little bit of feedback from where I was at a couple of weeks ago. But that's good advice. Thanks, Alex.
But you're comfortable with your numbers, right? That you want to about 425 or so, 450?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. These AMCOs, they just don't sell for more than that. I did close to 1.4 million last year. And, some of the higher guys in the chain, that was probably, I think we finished like either 15th or 16th out of the 600 we made President's Club. So there's not too many guys up ahead of me. And when those higher grossing stores, they do sell, that's kind of the ballpark they're at. If they're looking to sell, most of those guys aren't looking to sell. When some that high grossing sells, I mean, there might be one that gets up to 475, 500, but nobody's paying $1 million for an AMCO. Nobody's paying 650,000 for one AMCO location. Those numbers only come up when they get sold in pairs, and I'm not interested in doing that.
Yeah. And does AMCO Corporate, do they have a program that you can use to kind of see what the value is of your business, or did you go through a business broker? Or how'd you come up?
Yeah, well, didn't use a business broker, but we hear different types of numbers. 2.5 of net is a common one in the industry. AMCO used to stay, I think it was 22 weeks times your last 52-week average or something like that. Somebody was telling me, and I never did the math. What would that be? I got my calculator right here. And that just doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense on a higher grossing center like mine. But I'm closer to kind of 2 times net, so I'm comfortable with that. Just because those numbers are more kind of just like a ballpark, right? Yeah. Because some of these guys aren't making any money, but they're trying to sell their shop that does $10,000 a week for 150. So that doesn't make any sense either. So I'm comfortable with the number that I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you're comfortable with it, if they can come in at that number, that's awesome. Great. All right. Coaching Corner. Last week, Jack and I talked a little bit. I declared that 2021 is the year of courage. Courage to lead, what it takes to be a courageous leader. Last week, Jack and I talked a little bit. I found a article online. I'll post all the stuff out on the Facebook page and stuff. The article was written mainly for teachers and educators, but I like the way that the lady talked about everyday courage, what it takes to have courage. So last week, Jack and I talked about discipline courage. And discipline, there's like 6 different types of courage. You have spiritual courage, moral courage, physical courage, but then you have intellectual courage, disciplined courage, and social courage, which they also talk about empathetic courage or emotional courage. So we'll talk about these individually and stuff. Last week, Jack and I talked about disciplined courage. And that discipline is the courage to stay the course, right? Put together a plan, follow your plan, not get sidetracked by the little shiny object syndrome. Oh, maybe I should do this, or, oh, what if we did that? If you have a plan, stick to the plan. If something comes up that you want to make those decisions like this, do I buy into a new business or start a new business or something like that? Always revert back to what is my plan? What is my core values for the business? What are my SWOT analysis? Does it take advantage of one of the strengths that I have? Does it fill a weakness that I have? Is this an opportunity that will help me fulfill that vision and that purpose, right? And if not, move along, go on to the next thing. But it's having that courage to stick with your plan and say no when no is appropriate. This week, I want to talk about intellectual courage. This is one that I feel is tough for people sometimes. Intellectual courage is the courage to let go of assumptions, let go of beliefs, let go of customs that you may have when it comes to business, understanding that there may be knowledge out there that you don't have. There may be knowledge out there that could help you. But what happens is a lot of times businesses say, well, this is the way we've done things for so long. They don't want to entertain doing things any other way, right? But having that intellectual courage to where you're open to at least listening to other ideas. There could be a better way to run your business, better way to reduce waste, cut costs, whatever it happens to be, but you have to have that courage to at least listen to other people. It could be family, friends. It could be employees. It could be your customers. Oh, it could be, I don't know, maybe a business coach or something like that. But to say, okay, this is the way I've been doing it, but I'm willing to set that aside for a second and listen to these new ideas. You know, what else could I do? There's a high degree of risk that goes with intellectual courage. But there's that one saying, and I forget the quote, where they say that you'll never be able to really explore the oceans if you're not willing to let go of the shore, right? And seeing the shore, you have to be able to step out and look at these different ideas and entertain them. A lot of good ideas that come from within your business will come from employees. They're in the trenches. They're actually doing the work. They may have an idea of how you could make something better, right? Or streamlined. Listen to them, be open to it, and take a chance. Say, look, hey, we'll try this for a month. And if it works, we'll continue with it. If not, we'll go back to the old way of doing things. But having that courage to at least let go and listen and try something new. So a couple questions for you guys. Has there been a time when a family member, friend, or employee shared an idea that you rejected at first, but then came around to accept? Anytime when a family, friend, employee, colleague shared an idea that you at first rejected it, said no way, but then turned around and said, you know what? I like that.
I'm sure that I have. I can't give you an example right now, but I'm sure that I have.
In your Monday meetings, Jack, do you guys talk about process improvements or how to do things better? Do you guys share things and stuff?
Well, I've always been open to, I love to know about new stuff in my industry. And I remember when the press fittings came out and so many plumbers said, no way, I'll never use this. It's not going to work. And now you see it everywhere. I've got a press gun on every truck. It would be stupid for me not to. So it saves labor. The material's more expensive, but like I say, it saves labor. So it's just, and not to mention the fact that I don't have on every job, I don't have a 12,000 degree torch or whatever they are, inside of a wall. So, but I'm sure that, I know a lot of times, like I say, plumbers are old school. We're doing work for Mr. Thornton that owns Thornton Chevrolet right now. And I was looking at his, water heater and it just so happened. I mean, we were just talking and he told me the plumber that did his house. Well, I used to work with him. I know him, known him for as long as I've been plumbing. He was with the company that I started plumbing with. And he was taught to do things the way that he did. Now, I didn't pick him apart in front of Mr. Thornton, but I said, there's a few things we need to adjust down here because this guy was taught to do things a certain way. And like I say, once these plumbers are taught that way, they don't want to change what they're doing. And sometimes that is absolutely not the way to do it. So you've heard me say it, Harlan. One of my favorite things is when somebody gives me a fact, I say, what is that? What if that's not true? What if it's not true? There's always a better way or another way to do something.
Exactly.
Carl, I thought of something that I don't know if it fits this category or not. It might kind of, for me, from a different angle. This will give away at my age, probably how long I've been doing this, but I can remember CPAs when I forget the order, but like when TurboTax came on the market, it was like doom and gloom. This is going to end our profession, because nobody's going to need us anymore. Same thing with QuickBooks. Even same thing with the internet in some ways. And it wasn't so much learning something new, I guess, other than learning to just stay with it and realize that what clients need isn't always just technology because they still have the fear of messing things up. And I've heard, nothing against TurboTax or QuickBooks, but it just, for me, I think it took a little bit of me not to just despair and give up. So maybe that was a little brand of this, what you're talking about.
No, absolutely. Alex, Greg, what about you guys?
Well, I mean, I can certainly agree. I'm kind of with Jack. I can't think of an immediate example right off the top of my head, but I can tell you that um, really what I'm dealing with right now, I'm doing a lot of that because kind of rebuilding the company. What we do is we teach skills. Like it is an instructional company, and even though these skills are hundreds, if not thousands of years old, nobody owns them. The way that they are taught and the way that they are conveyed to the student, that's really where the difference comes in. And I'm reevaluating everything. I'm not making any assumptions about how we used to teach things in the past. Some of my instructors are very dogmatic about it. And kind of what I'm looking at is, if we continue, if I choose to do it that way going forward, great, but I'm going to evaluate it and make sure it is the actual best way to teach that. I've got some focus groups more or less of people lined up that I know, that I trust, that I'm going to try this out with and see how they do with it, and either throw it out and change it and tweak it, or stick with it if it continues to work. So I'm in the middle of that right now. And also with how I actually run the business, a lot of it's one of my big focuses going forward is being more data driven based on stuff that I collect and analytics of that, rather than intuition and what I'm feeling. Like there's definitely a place for intuition. I don't think you can make decisions based solely on numbers and data, but it should be primarily data driven. So that's another change I'm making now, and being open to whatever the data shows me, even if it contradicts stuff that I've long believed about the business. So yeah, I'm in the middle of that right now.
Um, That's awesome. Yeah. So just kind of summary, right? The courage to challenge old assumptions, courage to let go of old beliefs, courage to be open-minded and entertain differing ideas and viewpoints, and continuous learning. That's one thing that I like to see companies do to help, number one, involve and engage the employees, but also to make sure that the companies feel some sense of ownership in the business. Have them in your meetings teach other employees something that they learned, something that they know, or something they just discovered or figured out a better way to do. If somebody goes to a trade show and learns about a new tool or a new, program that's available, have them come back and teach the rest of the people kind of what it was that they learned. Number one, it gives them, the pride that they're teaching other people. It helps the employees see that you as a business owner are open to these ideas that are coming in and stuff. And if you show the importance of continual learning, they'll get that in their mind, that they'll want to be better and better. The failure to be open to new ideas, if this is, we're talking about intellectual courage, then the failure to be open to new ideas and differing ideas and things like that is termed intellectual cowardice, right? If you're afraid to let go of the things that you know because you're afraid of what might be out there, or, to having to admit that you've been doing it wrong all this time and stuff, could be seen as intellectual cowardice. So you always want to err on the side of that courage, Mel, what's her name? She's got the book, The 5-Second Rule or something like that. It says, when you come up against something you're kind of afraid of, just close your eyes, count backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then jump. Just do it, right? Because you'll notice once you get over that fear, everything will start, working out and stuff like that, and you'll have more courage later. Courage is not the absence of fear; it's doing it in spite of fear. I believe that the 8 most damaging words in business is "that's the way we have always done it." Okay. I was on a project for the U.S. Army years ago. We were putting in a new software system and teaching everybody how to use the software. Well, one of the process changes we had to do and get them involved in was looking at all the data reports that they had to use. So I was going around interviewing different people to talk to them about what reports do they use, how do they use them, and what if that report was no longer available? How would they do their job? And I talked to one lady and I said, so what report do you use? And she said, every Monday morning I print out I forget what it's called, ABC report. I said, perfect. ABC is one of the top reports we have that may be going away. What do you do with the report? She goes, I print it out every Monday. I said, awesome. And what do you do with that report? She goes, I put it in that blue binder up on the shelf. I said, okay, awesome. And then how do you use that report? She goes, oh, I don't use the report. And I said, okay, does the colonel use the report? She said, no, I've never seen the colonel look at that report. I said, does anybody use that report? And she goes, not that I've ever seen. And I said, but every Monday you come in and print out that report and put it in the blue binder, right? And she said, yeah, every Monday. And I go, why do you do that? She goes, that was the way I was taught. I've always done it that way. So not even questioning, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this the way that I'm doing and stuff? Just by rote. If that was the way she was taught, that's just the way she did it. And there are some people, like I said, Jack, that are kind of old school. This is the way that they were taught, and they never think that there may be a better and easier or more efficient way to do things. A lot of times those will come from new employees coming in as they bring their ideas with them, right? They have their little invisible tool bag with them with all these things that they've learned from previous jobs and stuff like that. Those are the type of people you want to try to engage. And if they say, you know, we could do this differently, don't shut them down, listen to them, take in what they say, see if it's something you might want to incorporate. And let's say, try it for a few weeks. If it works, all the better. And if not, you know, hey, we give it a shot. Right? So the courage to lead, I posted some questions of based on courage to lead and what it means to be a courageous leader. What type of courage comes easily for you? Which courage is more difficult possibly for you? What blocks you from behaving courageously? And what actions can you take this week to overcome one of these barriers? So of the four that we're talking about here, what type of courage comes easily for you? The intellectual courage, disciplined courage, moral courage, or the empathetic courage, which is like the emotional type courage? Which do you think is comes most easily for you?
The one we're talking about might, for me, in some sense, because I have to do this all the time, and it comes from having to explain, you know, I'm around stuff all the time. Like, I'll give you an example. All the time, I have somebody come, the new client, they're a Schedule C, sole proprietor. They may be paying part-time folks just cash, or maybe, you know, but they're contractors. And they're talking to me about how their employees, they want to keep their employees doing payroll like they have been. And I have to explain that's really not payroll. And also, since you're Schedule C, you can't be on payroll. That's a pretty simple concept. But I have learned over a lot of these conversations that I have to be careful and not come across as overbearing or make them feel stupid in the process. And that's just one example. Lots of times with what I do, I see it every day. And clients come with what they think they understand, or they may understand part of it. And for me, I had to develop some intellectual courage to be able to have that conversation a lot and not be off-putting or offend somebody, but help them to be more in the role of a teacher.
Okay. Alex, what do you think? What comes easiest for you?
I would say probably disciplined courage, being able to stay the course day after day. You know, once I get in a routine of execution, then I typically do a pretty good job of sticking to that. And it takes a lot to throw me off that. I mean, like, well, what got me into this group? I mean, I think that's an example of that, because, you know, I did kind of have the option to just shut everything down, and I chose not to. I would rather stay the course and prevail and show certain people, especially, that I'm not going to be beaten by this.
Yeah. Good stuff. Jack?
I'm gonna say discipline courage. I'm very goal oriented, so I'm gonna say discipline courage.
And you and I talked last week, I think the intellectual courage too, because you are one that is always reading a book, always listening to podcasts or learning new ways to do things. So both of those would be good.
An old dog can learn new tricks.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, I learned even from you know, things change. So when I started out in this business, these are the little shutoffs underneath the sink and underneath your toilet. They were made in the U.S. The metal was better metal. The brass was better brass. Now they're all made in China. Was out on a job one day with one of my guys, and I never, back in the old days, I never put pipe dope on those when I tightened them down. I just tightened them down, tightened the hound out of them, and never had a problem with them.
Yeah.
Well, he said something to me about it. He said, I always put pipe dope on there. And I said, well, I never have. Well, none of his leaked, and every one of mine leaked. And what I discovered was what I just said. I believe the metal has changed.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not as good a metal as it was back then. And so anyway, an old dog can learn new tricks.
Yeah.
I won't ever install another one because, like I say, I had to, the 3 or 4 that I installed, I had to take every one of them back off.
Yeah. All right. Greg, what about you? Which one of the courages is easy?
I would say I lean towards the intellectual courage. I'm, when faced with a challenge or an opportunity or, whatever the situation is, and I'll dig into the research, and I will look for somebody who's tried it that way before, or look to somebody that's been down that road, or read up on it and try to figure out if it makes sense to do or not. So I lean towards that intellectual side of it.
Cool. Which would you say would be most difficult for you, Greg?
I would say probably the empathetic courage.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to business, making a business decision or doing something like that. I would say if I'm challenged with having to show some empathetic courage, I probably would lean towards being more disciplined and stay in the course. And I'm not going to, it just feels like when I read kind of the definition here, the first couple of times, it feels like I'm giving in. Like if we have a customer that something happened to their vehicle, and whether we're responsible for it or not, I'm not just going to give in and say, oh yeah, we did this, we didn't do that because we didn't notice your oil leak while we were fixing your ball joint. I'm not just going to give it away for free,
Right.
even if we are at fault to some degree. So that's probably the one I struggle with the most. I don't know if struggle is the right word, but
Yeah. But it may not be as easy as some of the other ones, right?
exactly. Yeah.
David, what do you think?
The one that's difficult, empathetic courage. And I'll tell you what immediately came to mind. It wasn't exactly a strict business setting. And maybe others are like this too. I have some pretty strong views about things. I won't get into politics, but that's one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, just because I have so many conversations with so many different kinds of people in my client base, I'm learning this courage too, where I don't just, I don't roll my eyes, or I don't react. And I really try to do a better job of listening and trying to get in somebody else's shoes and understand their viewpoint. And sometimes it's hard for me. That particular context of empathetic courage, I'm working on. I'm a work in process.
Alex?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think it's kind of the flip side of some of these others. Like to be a business owner, there's an element of being stubborn and staying the course and not just caving to everyone else's opinions. And sometimes we can become too crystallized in that, where we're not willing to, like David said, put ourselves in the shoes of others and really see things from their perspective. So, I think that the hard-headedness that comes from I don't know, maybe having the disciplined courage of being able to stay the course no matter what, you know, that can make us blind to legitimate concerns that other people may have and being able to see those. So I would say empathetic courage as well.
And Jack, about the same?
Yeah, I like what Alex said. I would say too that maybe, I mean, I really kind of hate to say this, but maybe moral courage too. So, not that I wouldn't stand up for somebody if they needed to be stood up for, but I think that sometimes people claim injustices that just aren't true. I've had that happen in business several times, and even go so far as to sue the company that I worked for, and you know, just taking advantage of the process, I guess.
Yeah.
And so now I'm a little bit jaded. And I think that goes back to empathetic when you talk about being jaded on something.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I would say those two.
All right. And then, hang on, third question was, what blocks you? That's something, I don't know if we have enough time to go into that and stuff. What blocks you from behaving courageously in key situations? And then what actions can you take this week to overcome any of these barriers for courage? Anybody have anything coming up this week that you're going to need some intellectual courage or moral courage, empathetic courage? Nothing?
Greg needs a little disciplined courage this week. Just stay the course, buddy.
Yep. Stay the course. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's true. I'll take it all I can get.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. So as far as next week, any goals that you want to set for next week? Alex, what else do you have going on for when will those courses be put up? When are you going to get those done? And do you still have to edit those and get them ready to put up for the course?
Yeah, my video guy's doing the editing this week. He said he might be able to get them done as early as the end of this week. It'll probably be next week. So my goal is to have those submitted to the course platform by next week. Really, my next big step is I've actively started looking for financing. I reached out to the contact that you sent me, Harlan. Ricky. Spoke to him. Also talked to SBDC at KSU that I had spoken to briefly back in August about getting an SBA loan. So waiting to hear back from him on because I think if I do it through the SBDC, I don't need to have quite as much documentation. My business plan doesn't have to have the same level of detail. And, you know, if I can do it quicker and more efficiently, why not? So that's really my next goal, is because whether or not I can get that SBA loan is really going to determine how things look over the next year or so.
Right.
You know, I'm still going to do a lot of the same stuff probably, but with the SBA loan, I can get it done a lot faster because I can just instantly start hiring people for video production and editing. I can outsource a lot of my web stuff that, you know, so I can focus on other things. You know, I can do a lot more, a lot faster. So that's my next big thrust is, you know, by this time next week, I'd really like to get some kind of answer on what I need to do to apply, and perhaps even go as far as get the application in done.
Okay. And did you ever get in touch with Joe Mezzatesta? My brother-in-law, I sent you his contact information.
No, that's one of my people to respond to today now that I'm corona free. I'm getting back to all those messages.
Good.
But I did. Yeah, I am going to reach out to him because, like I say, we've talked about him forever. I'd love to get to know him better.
He's excited about it. Yeah, and he'd love to come up and help with some videos or something like that, help out or try things, test things.
Well, and yeah, and we may just spend some time hanging out in the woods because I need people who don't necessarily know me that well, but have a familiarity with the skill set to kind of like evaluate where I'm at and see how I can improve as far as my teaching skills. So he might be a good
Awesome.
person to do that with.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So I got a couple people I need to reach out to this week and get in touch with as well.
All right.
Now that I'm back to 100%.
Good job. All right. I jotted those down. We will check in with you and see how that works for you later. David, you're presenting at the Kiwanis later today?
Today, yes.
Awesome. What else you have going on? What goals you set for this week?
Well, I don't know if y'all saw, typically the IRS doesn't start processing returns every year till January 25th or 6th or somewhere around there. And they pushed it to February 12th this year. So I can still prepare things and get stuff ready. I just can't start e-filing until then. So I've been working since the new year on some projects that have just been hanging around, follow-up stuff, amended returns, just all kinds of things. I'm trying to get that backlog out before, and also get 1099s and W-2s done this month. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's my goal, is to get the backlog, get rid of the backlog.
Your backlog. Good job. All right, Jack, what do you got going on this week?
I'll just show you. That's my week.
Wow.
So if I could get that done, then we'll be in great shape. I
Yeah.
don't know that I can all done, but that's the goal.
Are you still down a couple guys?
No, everybody's back. We're back full staff this week. So, and I'm actively looking for a licensed plumber.
Good job. And I will be calling you after we get done with this call because we have a leak out in our garage. So I will give you a buzz and we'll get that taken care of. Greg, what do you have going on this week? Aside from getting better.
Yeah, really just trying to get out of bed at some point. I don't know what I'm
Gigi
going to be able to get done. I do have I got a little list that left over from last week. I got some accounting stuff I need to take care of. I don't think I'm going to be able to make any big changes on, more of the bigger picture, quarterly type goals that I've set. The ball's really out of my court on this negotiation. I might, probably start feeling it better, and like Alex advised, wait till I start thinking a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
I might press the envelope just to get this guy on or off the fence. Say, are we going to do this or not? So I can move forward. But yeah, really just trying to get out of bed and get feeling a little better.
Good. How's Gigi? Is she down with it too, or just you?
No, luckily, we spent a lot of time together on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And luckily, she's feeling okay. She's actually getting ready now. She's going to go get tested this morning.
Yeah.
Just to try to put her in the clear. So God, keep our fingers crossed on that she comes back negative, because if she comes up positive, then she'll be stuck here with me, and neither of us will be at the shop.
Yep.
But so far, so good. Yeah, at least she's not showing any symptoms.
Good. Well, yeah, try to stay safe. Hope you get well soon. The rest of you guys definitely stay safe. My parting thought, and then we're done. From Will Smith: fear is not real. It's a product of thoughts you create. Don't misunderstand me. Danger is real, but fear is a choice. All of our emotions are choices. You don't have to necessarily feel fear. You don't have to necessarily feel anger. It's all a choice. You can make a different choice if you choose to. So in a couple weeks, we're going to talk more about these different courage, points of courage, social courage, emotional courage, and get your thoughts on that. So be thinking about those, and I will post this up on the Facebook group. If you have any questions or want to post anything to the group, you can put it out there. All right.
Yep.
David, good luck today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Make sure, check for that microphone.
Yeah, I will. I
An
will.
actual recording of it. All right. And the rest of you guys have a good week. We'll talk to you later on.
You do. Feel better, Greg.
Yep. Get well.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Ted.
See ya.
Yes.